The man behind the simplicity. The sun dipped low over Los Angeles, casting a warm, golden hue over the city's skyline. The streets buzzed with the usual energy. Luxury cars weaving through traffic, people bustling between high-end boutiques, and the occasional paparazzi lurking in the shadows, hoping to catch a glimpse of the next celebrity. But Keanu Reeves wasn't in the mood for the spotlight today. Dressed in an old, threadbare jacket, faded jeans, and scuffed boots, he walked down Rodeo Drive, one of the most famous shopping streets in the world. His unshaven face and worn-out beanie made him look like just another struggling artist, blending seamlessly into the background. It was a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding him. Glittering storefronts, lavish displays, and polished marble floors that gleamed under the bright lights. Keanu wasn't here to shop. For years, he'd been fascinated by how people treated others based on appearances. Despite being one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, he had always remained grounded, avoiding the lavish lifestyle that often came with fame. He preferred quiet subway rides over limousines, simple meals over extravagant feasts, and solitude over red carpet events. But today, he wanted to see the world from a different angle, a raw, unfiltered view of humanity. He chose Maison d'Etoile, one of the most exclusive luxury stores on Rodeo Drive. The kind of place where a single handbag could cost more than a year's rent for the average person. The glass doors glistened under the afternoon sun, and the scent of expensive leather and fresh flowers wafted through the air as he stepped inside. Instantly, the atmosphere shifted. The store was nearly silent, save for the soft hum of classical music playing in the background. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting delicate reflections on the polished floors. Sales associates, dressed in tailored suits and pristine dresses, moved with calculated grace, attending to well-dressed customers who exuded wealth and confidence. Keanu walked in quietly, his posture relaxed, his eyes taking in the surroundings. He wandered toward a display of luxury watches, their glittering faces lined up like tiny treasures behind the glass. That's when it started. A young sales associate, a tall woman with sharp cheekbones and an even sharper attitude, noticed him. Her eyes flickered from his worn boots to his scruffy beard, and a slight sneer curled at the corner of her lips. She exchanged a quick glance with another associate, who chuckled softly under his breath. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone dripping with condescension, as if the very idea of him affording anything in the store was laughable. Keanu looked up, his eyes calm and kind. "Just browsing. Thank you." The woman raised an eyebrow. "Well, if you're just browsing, I'm afraid we're quite busy today. Maybe try somewhere more in your price range." Her words hung in the air, sharp and cold. Other customers nearby glanced over, some with curiosity, others with quiet amusement. Keanu felt the weight of their judgment, but he didn't flinch. He had expected this. He wanted this. But what happened next would be something none of them could have predicted. The unmasking of kindness. Keanu Reeves stood quietly in the middle of Maison d'Etoile, the weight of the sales associate's dismissive words lingering in the air. The polished floors reflected not just the glittering chandeliers above, but the silent judgments cast from every corner of the store. But Keanu wasn't here to make a scene or prove a point through anger. His approach was always different, subtle, patient, and most importantly, kind. The saleswoman, still standing near the display of luxury watches, crossed her arms, tapping her manicured nails against her elbow as if urging him silently to leave. Other associates followed suit, their whispers becoming background noise to the soft classical music. Keanu gave a small, polite nod and moved deeper into the store, his fingers grazing the edge of an immaculate glass case displaying designer wallets. His movements were slow, thoughtful, as though he wasn't just looking at the products, but the people around him. The way they moved, the way they interacted, and most notably, how quickly they made assumptions. Just as he was about to turn toward the exit, something unexpected happened. A soft voice, almost hesitant, broke through the cold indifference. "Hey, sir, "Do you need any help?" Keanu turned to see a young man, perhaps in his early 20s, standing a few feet away. His uniform was the same as the others, sleek black suit, crisp white shirt, but there was something different about him. His name tag read Liam. Unlike the other associates, Liam's eyes weren't filled with judgment but genuine curiosity and warmth. Keanu smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling slightly. "Just looking around, thanks." Liam nodded, but he didn't walk away like the others had. Instead, he stayed nearby, arranging a stack of neatly folded cashmere scarves, stealing occasional glances at Keanu. It wasn't out of suspicion. It was as if he sensed there was more to this man than met the eye. After a few minutes of quiet, Liam spoke again. "Not many people come in here just to look." His tone was gentle, almost conspiratorial, as if sharing a secret. "But you don't seem like most people." Keanu chuckled softly, appreciating the young man's perceptiveness. "You could say that." Liam grinned, encouraged by the response. "Well, if you need anything, or even if you just want to chat about something other than overpriced wallets, I'm around." Keanu's smile widened. "I'll keep that in mind." As Keanu continued browsing, he noticed how Liam treated every customer with the same level of respect and kindness, regardless of their appearance. While the other associates flocked to the wealthy-looking clientele, Liam helped an elderly woman pick out a gift for her grandson, carefully explaining each option without rushing her. He offered water to a couple who looked out of place in the high-end store, making them feel welcome despite the obvious glares from his coworkers. Keanu was impressed. But as he observed Liam, something unexpected began to unfold. A shift in the atmosphere. While Keanu was quietly minding his own business, a commotion erupted near the entrance of the store. A man in a tailored suit, accompanied by an entourage of assistants, swept into Maison Étoile with an air of entitlement. His loud voice echoed off the marble walls as he barked orders at the staff, demanding attention. The sales associates, including the woman who had earlier dismissed Keanu, scrambled to cater to the new customer, their faces lighting up with artificial smiles. They offered him champagne, brought out exclusive items from the back, and laughed at his forced jokes. Keanu watched from a distance, noting how quickly the atmosphere shifted when wealth entered the room. But what happened next would turn the entire scene on its head. As the wealthy customer perused the store, his gaze fell on Liam, who was still tidying up the shelves near Keanu. The man frowned, snapping his fingers to get Liam's attention. "You," he barked. "You're standing around like you've got nothing to do. Get over here and help me." Liam glanced at Keanu briefly, then sighed and approached the man with his usual calm demeanor. "Of course, sir. What can I assist you with?" The man shoved a pair of designer shoes into Liam's hands. "These aren't in my size. Fix it." As Liam headed toward the stockroom, Keanu noticed the subtle tension in his shoulders. It was clear this wasn't the first time Liam had dealt with such treatment. But what struck Keanu was Liam's restraint, his ability to maintain his composure in the face of blatant disrespect. Minutes passed, and Liam returned with the correct size, presenting them to the customer with a polite smile. But instead of gratitude, the man scoffed. "Took you long enough," he sneered. "No wonder you're stuck working in retail." Keanu felt a flicker of anger rise in his chest, but he remained still, observing. He wanted to see how Liam would handle it. And Liam, true to his character, simply replied, "I'm glad I could help, sir." The wealthy man dismissed him with a wave and continued his shopping spree, leaving Liam to retreat back to his quiet corner of the store. The turning point. Keanu knew it was time. He approached Liam, who was straightening a display of wallets. "Hey," Keanu said softly. "Thanks for being kind. Not everyone here seems to know how to do that." Liam chuckled, running a hand through his hair. "You'd be surprised how rare it is. But honestly, you never know what someone's going through. Figured kindness doesn't cost anything." Keanu nodded, his respect for the young man deepening. "That's a good way to live." Before Liam could respond, The dismissive saleswoman from earlier noticed Keanu lingering near the register. She strutted over, her fake smile plastered back on. "Decided to buy something after all?" she asked, her tone still dripping with sarcasm. Keanu looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Actually, yes." The woman blinked, caught off guard. "Really? Well, what were you interested in?" Keanu pointed toward the watch display. "That one," he said simply, indicating the most expensive piece in the store. An exclusive limited edition watch worth more than most people's yearly salary. The woman's jaw dropped slightly, but she quickly recovered, laughing nervously. "Oh, I see. That's a very unique choice." Keanu reached into his jacket and pulled out his wallet, flipping it open to reveal a sleek black credit card, the kind reserved for the wealthiest elite. The saleswoman's face drained of color. Liam, standing nearby, looked equally surprised but for a different reason. He hadn't treated Keanu kindly because he suspected he was someone important. He'd done it simply because it was the right thing to do. Keanu handed the card directly to Liam. "I'd like you to help me with the purchase," Keanu said, his voice calm but firm. The saleswoman's mouth opened in protest, but Keanu's steady gaze silenced her. Liam, though stunned, nodded and proceeded with the transaction. As Liam packaged the watch with careful precision, Keanu leaned in slightly. "You've got a good heart," he said quietly. "Don't let people like that change you." Liam looked up, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot." Keanu smiled, taking the bag. "And one more thing." He paused, glancing around the store. The other associates watched with wide eyes, realizing too late who they had underestimated. "You never know who's walking through that door. Remember that." With that, Keanu turned and walked out of Maison Étoile, leaving behind a trail of stunned silence. But this was only the beginning. The ripple effect. The glass doors of Maison Étoile swung shut behind Keanu Reeves, leaving the high-end boutique in stunned silence. The muffled hum of the city outside barely penetrated the tension that hung in the air. Inside, sales associates stood frozen, their polished smiles faltering, their eyes darting between the exit and the young man now standing behind the register, Liam. For Liam, the moment felt surreal. 1 minute, he was being subtly ridiculed by his colleagues for showing kindness to a scruffy-looking customer. The next, he was shaking hands with Keanu Reeves, the global icon, the man whose face graced movie posters around the world. But it wasn't the celebrity status that lingered in Liam's mind. It was the simple, genuine acknowledgement of his character. As the reality of what had just transpired sank in, the store erupted into whispers. Was that really him? Did you see the card he pulled out? I can't believe we treated him like that. The dismissive saleswoman, whose sharp words had kicked off the entire encounter, stood near the watch display, her face pale, her confidence shattered. She clutched the edge of the glass case, her mind replaying every dismissive word she'd thrown at Keanu. The laughter, the condescension, it all felt like a bad dream now, one that had unfolded in broad daylight. Liam, meanwhile, carefully placed the receipt in the drawer, his hand still slightly trembling. But it wasn't fear or nervousness. It was the weight of an unexpected lesson. As he glanced around the store, he saw more than just luxury items and wealthy customers. He saw the fragility of pride, the danger of assumptions, and the quiet power of treating people with dignity, no matter their appearance. But for Maison Étoile, the story was far from over. A storm brewing. The store manager, Victor, a tall man with slicked back hair and an intimidating presence, stormed out from the back office. He had missed the entire encounter, but had been alerted by the sudden commotion. His eyes scanned the room, narrowing as he spotted Liam near the register. "What's going on here?" Victor barked, his voice slicing through the whispers like a knife. The sales associates shifted uncomfortably, casting glances at one another, unsure of who would be brave enough to speak first. It was the dismissive saleswoman, her confidence now replaced with desperation, who finally stepped forward. Victor, that man who just left. It was Keanu Reeves. Victor's eyes flicked toward the exit, his expression unreadable. The Keanu Reeves, he repeated slowly, as if tasting the words for the first time. The woman nodded frantically. Yes, and Liam was the one who helped him. He bought the most expensive watch in the store. Victor's gaze snapped to Liam, who stood quietly, his hands clasped in front of him. For a brief moment, Victor said nothing, his mind racing through the implications. A celebrity had just made a high-profile purchase in his store, and he hadn't been there to capitalize on the publicity. Worse, the wrong people had interacted with the customer. Victor approached Liam, his polished shoes clicking against the marble floor. "Well," Victor said slowly, his voice smooth but laced with an undercurrent of something darker, "it seems you've had quite the lucky break today, Liam." Liam met his manager's gaze, his posture steady. "It wasn't luck, sir. I just treated him like I'd treat anyone else." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. Of course. But you see," he leaned in slightly, lowering his voice so only Liam could hear. "In this business, it's not about kindness. It's about knowing who to invest your time in." Liam felt a flicker of irritation rise in his chest, but kept his face neutral. "I think everyone deserves the same respect, sir. You never know who you're talking to." Victor chuckled softly, as if amused by Liam's naivety. "Maybe. But remember, we're here to sell luxury, not hand out life lessons." With that, Victor turned on his heel and addressed the rest of the staff. "Back to work, everyone. And next time, try not to let a movie star slip through your fingers without making the most of it." The associates scattered, the tension lingering like a thick fog. But for Liam, something had shifted. Keanu's words echoed in his mind, solidifying his belief that kindness wasn't just a virtue, it was a quiet rebellion in a world obsessed with appearances. A surprise the next day. The next morning, Liam arrived at Maison d'Etoile earlier than usual. The events of the previous day had left him restless, his thoughts tangled with what had happened. As he pushed open the glass doors, he expected the usual routine. Adjusting displays, stocking shelves, and bracing for another day of superficial interactions. But what greeted him was far from ordinary. Sitting at the front desk was a large, beautifully wrapped package with a note attached. The handwriting was elegant but simple. Liam's heart skipped a beat as he recognized the signature at the bottom. It read, "To Liam. For treating people with the kindness they deserve. The world needs more people like you. Keanu." Liam carefully unwrapped the package, revealing a sleek, custom-made briefcase, crafted from the finest leather, with his initials embossed in the corner. But it wasn't the gift that left him speechless. It was the fact that someone as renowned as Keanu Reeves had taken the time to acknowledge a simple act of decency. As Liam stood there, staring at the gift, Victor and the other associates arrived. Their eyes widened as they saw the package, and whispers filled the air once more. But this time, the whispers weren't about judgment. They were about respect. Victor approached, his eyes flicking between the briefcase and Liam's face. For the first time, the smug confidence was gone, replaced by something that resembled uncertainty. "Well," Victor muttered, his voice tight, "looks like you've made an impression." Liam smiled softly, his confidence unwavering. "It's not about making an impression. It's about doing the right thing." Victor didn't respond. He simply turned away, leaving Liam standing tall, the quiet hero in a place that had long forgotten what true luxury really meant. The story spreads, but the ripple effect didn't stop there. Later that week, an anonymous post appeared on social media. A customer who had witnessed the entire interaction between Keanu, Liam, and the other associates shared the story, highlighting Liam's kindness and the store's initial judgment. The post went viral overnight. News outlets picked up the story, and soon, headlines like "Keanu Reeves exposes the truth about luxury store behavior" and "Kindness wins" How one retail worker stood out to Keanu Reeves flooded the internet. People across the world praised Liam's integrity, and customers began flocking to Maison Étoile, hoping to meet the young man who had treated a stranger like a friend. Liam became an unexpected symbol of humility in a world obsessed with status. And while the store tried to capitalize on the newfound attention, it was clear to everyone who the real star was: not Keanu Reeves, not the overpriced watches, but the young man who proved that kindness, in the simplest of forms, could leave the biggest impact. The power of a name. The following days at Maison d'Étoile were unlike anything the store had ever experienced. What was once a sanctuary for the wealthy elite, cloaked in silence and exclusivity, had become a bustling hub of curiosity and admiration. But it wasn't the glittering displays of luxury watches or limited edition handbags that drew the crowd. It was Liam. People from all walks of life streamed into the boutique, their eyes searching not for designer goods, but for the young man who had become an overnight symbol of humility and integrity. Customers whispered excitedly to each other as they crossed the marble threshold. "Is that him? Where's the guy Keanu Reeves talked about? I just want to shake his hand." But Liam wasn't basking in the attention. He continued his work with the same quiet dedication, greeting every customer with the same warmth he had shown before his name had become a trending hashtag. While his colleagues scrambled to adjust their attitudes, desperate to ride the wave of publicity, Liam remained unchanged, embodying the very lesson Keanu had left behind. However, the viral fame wasn't without its challenges. The corporate storm. Just a week after Keanu's visit, Maison d'Étoile's corporate headquarters sent down a memo. The regional manager, Clara Benson, was flying in from New York for an urgent review of the store's operations. It wasn't hard to guess why. The sudden surge in media attention had cast the store in a double-edged light. While business was booming, the viral story had exposed the boutique's superficial culture. The staff buzzed with nervous energy on the day of Clara's arrival. Victor, the store manager, paced the showroom floor, his usual smugness replaced by thinly veiled anxiety. He barked orders at the associates, demanding perfection in every corner of the store. When Clara finally arrived, she was everything they expected: sharp, poised, and radiating authority. She wore a tailored suit that spoke of both power and elegance, her every movement precise and deliberate. Her eyes, however, were cold and calculating, scanning the store like a hawk surveying its prey. Victor rushed forward, his voice oozing with forced enthusiasm. "Ms. Benson, welcome to Maison d'Étoile. It's an honor to have you here." Clara didn't return his smile. Instead, she got straight to the point. "Where's Liam?" The question cut through the air like a blade. Victor's face twitched ever so slightly, but he quickly composed himself. "Ah, yes, Liam," Victor said, feigning familiarity. "Our rising star. I'll get him for you right away." Liam was in the back room, organizing inventory, when Victor appeared, his expression strained. "Corporate wants to see you," Victor muttered, barely hiding his irritation. "Try not to embarrass the store." Liam raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He wiped his hands on a cloth and followed Victor to the showroom, where Clara Benson stood near the front desk, her sharp gaze fixed on him. As Liam approached, Clara extended her hand. "You must be Liam. I've heard a lot about you." Liam shook her hand firmly. "Nice to meet you, Ms. Benson." Clara studied him for a moment, as if trying to dissect the young man who had unwittingly become the face of an accidental PR phenomenon. "Walk with me," she said, turning on her heel without waiting for a response. An unexpected proposal. Clara led Liam through the store, weaving past displays of opulent jewelry and leather goods. Her heels clicked against the marble, a rhythmic counterpoint to the buzz of customers and the hushed voices of his curious coworkers. "You've caused quite the stir," Clara began, her tone neutral. "Keanu Reeves, a viral story, and now our store is the talk of the town. Not many people could pull that off." Liam remained silent, sensing there was more to her words. Clara stopped near a display of designer handbags and turned to face him. "I'll be blunt, Liam. Corporate likes what's happening here. Sales are up, foot traffic has doubled, and our social media presence is stronger than ever. You've become an asset." Liam's stomach twisted at the word asset. He didn't want to be reduced to a marketing tool. "So," Clara continued, her eyes narrowing slightly, "we'd like to offer you a promotion. Assistant manager, a significant pay raise, better hours, and most importantly, you'll be the face of our new customer relations campaign. We'll market this store around you. The kindness factor." Liam blinked, taken aback. It was everything most people in his position would dream of: more money, more recognition, and a fast-track career in a prestigious company. But as Clara spoke, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't him they wanted, it was the story. He thought of Keanu's words, "You've got a good heart. Don't let people like that change you." Liam met Clara's gaze, his voice steady. "I appreciate the offer, Ms. Benson, but I didn't do what I did for attention or to boost sales." Clara's expression didn't change. "You'd be foolish to pass this up. Opportunities like this don't come often." Liam smiled softly, but his decision was clear. Sometimes the right thing isn't about opportunity. It's about staying true to who you are. Clara stared at him for a long moment before finally speaking. "Think about it. You have until the end of the week." With that, she walked away, leaving Liam standing amidst the glittering luxury that suddenly felt more suffocating than ever. The surprise returned. Days passed, and the store remained a hive of activity, the buzz around Liam refusing to die down. But Liam felt increasingly disconnected from it all. He continued treating every customer with kindness, but the joy of the job had dimmed under the weight of corporate expectations and the uncomfortable spotlight. It was late one evening, just as the store was about to close, when the door swung open, and in walked Keanu Reeves. This time, there was no disguise, no attempt to blend in. Dressed in a simple black blazer and jeans, his presence was unmistakable. The store fell into stunned silence once more, but this time, the reactions were different. The associates straightened up, their faces painted with eager smiles, desperate to correct their previous mistakes. But Keanu ignored them all. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on Liam, who stood near the back, folding a stack of scarves. A genuine smile broke across Keanu's face as he approached. "Hey, Liam," Keanu greeted, his voice warm. Liam looked up, momentarily surprised, then smiled back. "Didn't expect to see you again." Keanu chuckled. "I wanted to check in. I heard you've become a bit of a celebrity around here." Liam laughed softly, not by choice. Keanu's expression grew more serious. "I also heard about the promotion offer." Liam raised an eyebrow. "News travels fast." Keanu nodded. "I know people, but that's not why I'm here." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, handing it to Liam. "I'm working with a foundation that focuses on community outreach and supporting underprivileged youth. We need someone with your heart and your perspective. It's not glamorous, and it definitely doesn't come with luxury perks, but it's real." Liam stared at the card, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. This wasn't just a job offer, it was a chance to make a genuine difference. Keanu placed a hand on Liam's shoulder. "Think about it. No pressure, but I think you'd be perfect for it." With that, Keanu gave him a final nod and walked out, leaving behind a stunned store. Again, a choice to make. Liam stood in the quiet aftermath, the business card clutched in his hand. Two offers lay before him, one paved with luxury, recognition, and corporate success, the other with purpose, authenticity, and the chance to truly impact lives. As he locked up the store that night, Liam realized the decision wasn't difficult at all. The leap of faith. The city of Los Angeles pulsed with its usual frenetic energy, neon lights flickering against the dark canvas of the night sky. But inside Liam's small one-bedroom apartment, the world felt unusually still. The dim glow from a single desk lamp illuminated the business card Keanu had handed him hours earlier. Its minimalist design spoke volumes. Not flashy, not boastful. Just a simple name, Keanu Reeves, and the foundation's logo, the Path Forward Foundation. Beneath it, in smaller print, was the tagline, empowering through kindness and opportunity. Liam sat at his modest kitchen table, the weight of the decision pressing down on him like the heavy silence that filled the room. In front of him were two pieces of paper, the Maison d'Etoile promotion offer, typed neatly on company letterhead, and a blank sheet where he'd started jotting down pros and cons for each path. But no matter how many bullet points he wrote, the heart of the decision couldn't be captured in lists. The reflection. For most of his life, Liam had followed the path of least resistance. Born and raised in a modest neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, he'd learned early on the value of hard work, though opportunities rarely came knocking. After high school, he'd juggled odd jobs, waiting tables, stocking shelves, until he landed the position at Maison d'Etoile. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and gave him a glimpse into a world far removed from his own. And yet, even in a store brimming with wealth, Liam had never felt poor. His riches were in his values, the lessons his parents had instilled in him. Treat everyone with respect. Give without expecting. Kindness is the wealth that never fades. But now, for the first time, he was faced with a choice that would define more than just his career. It would shape who he became. On one hand, Maison d'Etoile's offer promised stability, recognition, and a future in one of the most prestigious retail environments in the city. He'd be the face of a campaign, a symbol of customer service excellence, and enjoy all the perks that came with the title. On the other hand, Keanu's offer was less defined, more uncertain. Working with a foundation meant stepping into uncharted territory. There would be no luxury, no glamorous spotlight, but there would be purpose, a chance to make a tangible difference in the lives of people who needed it most. As Liam stared at the two papers, his phone buzzed with a message from his best friend, Jenna. "Dude, have you decided yet? You'd be crazy to turn down that promotion." Liam smiled softly, knowing Jenna meant well. But deep down, he realized the answer wasn't about what others thought. It was about what felt right. The decision. The next morning dawned crisp and cool, a rare reprieve from Los Angeles' usual heat. Liam awoke with a sense of clarity, as if the weight of indecision had lifted overnight. He dressed simply, in the same understated style that had unintentionally caught Keanu's attention that day in Maison d'Etoile. Jeans, a plain t-shirt, and his favorite worn jacket. No need for pretense. Before leaving his apartment, he paused to glance at the business card one last time. Then, slipping it into his pocket, he grabbed the promotion offer from Maison d'Etoile and headed out the door. The walk to the boutique felt different that morning. The streets were alive with the usual buzz of morning commuters and honking cars, but Liam felt detached from it all. His mind was focused on what lay ahead. When he arrived at Maison d'Etoile, the store was already bustling. The once dismissive sales associates now greeted him with exaggerated smiles, eager to ride the coattails of his viral fame. Even Victor, the store manager, wore a forced grin as he approached Liam near the back office. "Liam," Victor exclaimed, clapping him on the shoulder like an old friend. "Ready to sign that promotion paperwork? Corporate is eager to announce it publicly. We've even got a press release drafted." Liam took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Actually, Victor," Liam began, pulling the offer letter from his pocket. "I've been thinking about it." Victor's smile faltered slightly but quickly recovered. Of course. It's a big decision. But trust me, this is the best move for your career." Liam met Victor's gaze, his voice calm but firm. "I'm not taking it." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Victor blinked, clearly caught off guard. I don't understand. Are you negotiating? We can discuss more benefits if that's the issue." Liam shook his head. It's not about the money or the title. It's about what feels right. And this. He gestured around the store, at the glittering displays and polished surfaces. This isn't it. Victor's expression darkened, his facade slipping. You're making a mistake, Liam. Opportunities like this don't come twice. Liam smiled, his decision unwavering. Maybe, but I'd rather make a mistake being true to myself than succeed by compromising my values. With that, Liam placed the unsigned offer letter on Victor's desk and turned to leave. The store felt quieter as he walked out, as if even the walls were absorbing the weight of his choice. A new beginning. Liam didn't hesitate. As soon as he stepped onto the bustling street, he pulled out his phone and dialed the number on Keanu's business card. It rang once, twice, and then Keanu's familiar, calm voice answered. "Hello." "Hey, Keanu. It's Liam." There was a pause, followed by a warm chuckle. "I was wondering when you'd call." Liam laughed, the tension of the past days melting away. "I'm in." Keanu didn't ask for clarification. He didn't need to. Instead, he simply replied, "Welcome aboard. I'll send you the details. You won't regret it." As Liam hung up, he felt a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced in years. The weight of corporate expectations, the fear of making the wrong choice, it all faded, replaced by a quiet excitement for what lay ahead. The first day at the Path Forward Foundation. A week later, Liam found himself standing in front of a modest building tucked away in a quieter part of the city. The Path Forward Foundation wasn't flashy or grand. Its exterior was simple, with large windows that let in the morning light and a hand-painted sign above the door. But as soon as Liam stepped inside, he felt the warmth that no luxury boutique could ever replicate. The walls were lined with photos of community projects, smiling faces of children and families whose lives had been touched by the foundation's work. Volunteers bustled about, organizing supplies, preparing for outreach events, and chatting with a sense of purpose that was palpable. Keanu greeted him near the entrance, his signature easygoing demeanor unchanged. "Welcome, Liam," Keanu said, clapping him on the back. "Ready to make a difference?" Liam grinned, feeling a sense of belonging that he hadn't known he was missing. More than ever. Keanu led him through the foundation, introducing him to the team and explaining the various projects they were working on, from mentoring programs for at-risk youth to housing initiatives for the homeless. Every project, every story, resonated with Liam in a way that selling luxury watches never could. By the end of the day, Liam knew he had made the right choice. The ripple continues. Word of Liam's decision spread quickly, fueled by the lingering buzz of the original viral story. But this time, the headlines were different. Retail worker who impressed Keanu Reeves chooses purpose over profit. From luxury to legacy, how one man's kindness sparked a movement. People around the world were inspired not just by Liam's interaction with Keanu, but by the choice he had made afterward. It wasn't just about treating people kindly. It was about living those values, even when faced with difficult decisions. And as the Path Forward Foundation grew, so did Liam's role within it. He became a mentor to others, sharing his story and encouraging people to see beyond appearances, to find purpose in their work, and to never underestimate the power of a simple act of kindness. But perhaps the most profound impact was the one Liam never saw coming. A letter from Keanu. Months after joining the foundation, Liam received a letter in the mail. It was handwritten, the familiar signature at the bottom confirming its sender. "Liam, when we first met, I thought I was the one teaching you a lesson about life and kindness. But it turns out you taught me something even more valuable, that staying true to who you are is the greatest form of success. Thank you for reminding me and the world of that. See you soon, Keanu." Liam folded the letter with a smile, tucking it into his desk drawer. He didn't need fame or fortune to feel fulfilled. He had something far more valuable: purpose, integrity, and the knowledge that sometimes the smallest actions could create the biggest ripples. When paths cross again, Months had passed since Liam traded the gleaming floors and cold stares of Maison Étoile for the warmth and purpose of the Path Forward Foundation. The transition from luxury retail to grassroots community work wasn't without its challenges, but every day brought a new story, a new face, and a new opportunity to make a difference. The satisfaction he felt was deeper, more genuine than anything he'd ever experienced in the world of high-end fashion. But life, much like the ripples caused by a single drop of water, had a way of bringing people back together in the most unexpected ways. The invitation. It was a rainy Thursday morning when Liam found the envelope in his mailbox. Unlike the usual stack of utility bills and flyers, this envelope was different. It was thick, made of high-quality paper with an elegant, understated seal on the back. Liam furrowed his brow as he tore it open, revealing a simple, handwritten note. Liam, I hope this finds you well. I've been following your journey at the foundation, and I'm impressed by what you've accomplished. I'm hosting a private charity gala next month, and I'd be honored if you could attend, not as a guest, but as a speaker. The world needs to hear your story. Looking forward to seeing you again. Keanu. Liam read the note twice, disbelief giving way to a mix of excitement and nerves. A charity gala, speaking in front of celebrities, philanthropists, and influential figures. Public speaking wasn't exactly in his comfort zone. But then again, neither was leaving Maison Étoile. And that had turned out to be the best decision of his life. After a moment's hesitation, Liam grabbed his phone and sent a quick reply. Count me in. The gala preparations. The weeks leading up to the gala were a whirlwind. Between his regular duties at the foundation, organizing food drives, mentoring local teens, and helping launch a new literacy program, Liam found himself preparing for the biggest event he'd ever attended. Jenna, his best friend, was over the moon when she heard the news. A gala, with Keanu Reeves. And you're speaking. She gasped, practically bouncing in her chair at their favorite coffee shop. You're officially cooler than anyone I know. Liam chuckled, sipping his coffee. I don't know about cooler, but it's definitely unexpected. Jenna leaned in, her eyes sparkling with excitement. You're gonna crush it. Just be yourself. That's what got you here in the first place. Her words echoed in Liam's mind over the next few days. He wasn't speaking as a polished corporate figure or a celebrity. He was there as himself, a regular guy who'd chosen kindness over profit. As the day of the gala approached, Liam found a simple suit at a local thrift store. It wasn't designer, and it didn't come with a hefty price tag, but it felt right. The suit reflected who he was, grounded, authentic, and unpretentious. The night of the gala. The gala was held at one of Los Angeles' most iconic venues, an old theater transformed into a breathtaking event space. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, casting a warm glow over the elegantly dressed crowd. The room buzzed with conversations, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. But despite the luxury, there was an undercurrent of purpose in the air. This wasn't just about glitz and glamour. It was about giving back, about using influence and resources to make the world a better place. Liam arrived early, his heart pounding as he stepped into the grand hall. For a moment, he felt a flicker of insecurity. The room was filled with people who exuded wealth and confidence, dressed in suits and gowns that likely cost more than his entire monthly rent. But then, across the room, he saw Keanu, dressed in his usual understated style. Black blazer, simple shirt, and that familiar, easygoing demeanor. Keanu was deep in conversation with a group of people. When his eyes met Liam's, a genuine smile spread across his face. He excused himself and crossed the room, pulling Liam into a warm, friendly hug. You made it, Keanu said, stepping back to look at him. You look great. Liam chuckled, glancing down at his thrifted suit. Thanks. It's no Maison Étoile, but it does the job. Keanu laughed, his eyes twinkling. It's perfect. Authenticity never goes out of style. As the evening progressed, Liam mingled with guests, sharing stories about the foundation, and the work they were doing. He met actors, musicians, and philanthropists, each of whom was genuinely interested in hearing about his journey. But despite the star-studded crowd, Liam felt grounded, knowing that he was there not because of who he knew, but because of what he stood for. The speech. When it was finally time for Liam to speak, his heart pounded in his chest. Keanu introduced him with a few heartfelt words, sharing the story of how they met and why Liam's journey had inspired him. The audience applauded warmly as Liam stepped onto the stage, the spotlight bright but not blinding. He took a deep breath, letting the moment settle before he began. "Good evening, everyone," Liam started, his voice steady despite the nerves fluttering in his chest. "A few months ago, I was just a retail worker in a luxury store, folding scarves and selling overpriced watches. I didn't think much of it at the time. It was just a job. But then, one day, a man walked into that store dressed in a way that didn't fit the boutique's image." Liam paused, his eyes scanning the crowd. Many of them were already familiar with the story, but they listened intently, hanging on his every word. "I treated him the way I'd treat anyone else, not because I thought he was someone important, but because everyone deserves respect." That man turned out to be Keanu Reeves. There was a ripple of laughter and applause, but Liam continued, his tone growing more reflective. "But this story isn't about a celebrity walking into a store. It's about what happened next. I was offered a promotion, a chance to climb the corporate ladder, but I realized that success isn't measured by titles or paychecks. It's measured by the impact we have on others, by the kindness we show when no one's watching." He glanced over at Keanu, who nodded encouragingly. "So I walked away from that promotion and joined the Path Forward Foundation. And I can honestly say, I've never felt richer." The room erupted in applause, but Liam wasn't finished. "I'm here tonight to remind you that every small act of kindness matters. You never know whose life you might touch, or how they might touch yours in return." As Liam stepped down from the stage, the applause grew louder, echoing through the grand hall. Keanu met him at the bottom of the steps, his eyes shining with pride. "You did great," Keanu said, pulling him into another hug. "I knew you would." Liam smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment he'd never known before. The nerves, the doubts, they all melted away, replaced by a deep, unwavering sense of purpose. The unexpected offer. Later that evening, as the gala wound down and guests began to trickle out, a woman approached Liam. She was older, with kind eyes and a graceful presence. Her name tag read Eleanor Price, and she introduced herself as the director of a global humanitarian organization. "I was deeply moved by your story, Liam," Eleanor said, her voice soft but firm. "We're expanding our outreach programs internationally, and we need someone like you, someone who leads with heart. Would you consider joining our team?" Liam was taken aback. The offer was unexpected, but it wasn't just about the position. It was about the opportunity to amplify his impact on a global scale. Before he could respond, Keanu appeared beside him, a knowing smile on his face. "Looks like you've got another decision to make," Keanu teased gently. Liam chuckled, shaking his head. "Seems like life keeps throwing them my way." Eleanor gave him her card, and Liam promised to think about it. But deep down, he knew that wherever his path led next, he carried the lessons of kindness, authenticity, and integrity with him. Full circle. As the night drew to a close, Liam and Keanu found themselves standing on the balcony of the venue, overlooking the glittering city below. "You ever think about how one small choice can change everything?" Liam asked, his voice thoughtful. Keanu nodded, his gaze distant but reflective. "All the time. Life's full of crossroads. It's not always about the path you choose, but how you walk it." Liam smiled, feeling the truth of those words settle deep in his heart. As they stood there, two men from different worlds brought together by a simple act of kindness, Liam realized that life wasn't about the destination. It was about the journey and the people who walked it with you. And with that, Liam knew his story was just beginning. The legacy of kindness. The city of Los Angeles was just waking up, its streets bathed in the golden hues of dawn. For most, it was the start of another routine day, a blend of traffic, coffee runs, and chasing dreams. But for Liam, the day felt different. It wasn't just another chapter in his life. It was the culmination of everything he'd learned, the people he'd met, and the choices that had shaped his journey. 6 months had passed since that unforgettable gala, where Liam stood before a crowd of celebrities and philanthropists, sharing his story of humility and kindness. That night, his life had taken yet another unexpected turn, with offers pouring in from humanitarian organizations and nonprofits worldwide. But Liam wasn't interested in chasing opportunities for the sake of prestige. He was searching for something deeper, a way to leave a lasting impact, not just in one community, but in the hearts of people everywhere. And so, after careful thought and heartfelt conversations with Keanu Reeves and his mentor, Eleanor Price, Liam made a bold decision. He would create his own organization, one that embodied the values that had guided him from the very beginning. The birth of the Ripple Effect Foundation. The name came to Liam during a quiet evening stroll by the beach. Watching the waves crash against the shore, he realized how one small drop could create ripples that stretched far beyond its initial point of contact. That's what kindness was, a single, simple act that could echo through countless lives, leaving a legacy of compassion and hope. The Ripple Effect Foundation wasn't just another charity, it was a movement. The foundation focused on empowering everyday people to make a difference in their communities, no matter how big or small. It wasn't about grand gestures or flashy donations. It was about the power of human connection, the idea that everyone had the ability to change the world, one kind act at a time. With Keanu as a silent partner and Eleanor guiding the strategic vision, Liam poured his heart into building the foundation from the ground up. They started small: community cleanups, mentoring programs, and workshops on empathy and leadership. But the impact was immediate. Stories began to pour in from around the world. Stories of people inspired by Liam's journey, taking action in their own lives. A barista in New York started a pay-it-forward coffee program. A teacher in Chicago created a kindness curriculum for her students. A retired couple in London opened their home to foster children. The ripples were spreading. Revisiting the past. Despite his new role, Liam never forgot where it all began. One sunny afternoon, he found himself standing outside Maison Étoile, the luxury boutique where his story had first taken flight. The store looked the same, sleek, polished, and dripping with opulence, but Liam had changed. He stepped inside, the familiar scent of expensive leather and perfume washing over him. The associates glanced up, their faces a mix of recognition and discomfort. They remembered him, not as the scruffy man they'd dismissed, but as the person who had unintentionally exposed the shallow culture of their world. At the back of the store, near the watch display where it all started, Liam spotted Victor, the store manager. Victor's once confident demeanor had dulled, his smile no longer carrying the same smugness. "Well, if it isn't our star," Victor muttered, approaching Liam with a forced grin. "Back to buy something?" Liam smiled politely. "No, just visiting. Wanted to see how things were." Victor shifted uncomfortably. "Things are fine. Business is good." Liam nodded, letting the silence stretch for a moment. "Glad to hear it." Before Victor could respond, Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small card. It wasn't a business card, but a simple note. "Kindness is free, but its value is priceless. Never underestimate its power." Liam handed the card to Victor, whose face flushed slightly as he read the words. Without another word, Liam turned and walked out, leaving behind more than just a message. He left a challenge, a global movement. The Ripple Effect Foundation continued to grow, reaching communities across continents. Liam found himself traveling more than he ever expected, speaking at schools, conferences, and even international summits. But no matter where he went, his message remained the same. Kindness is the most powerful force in the world. In Mumbai, he sat with street children, teaching them the importance of self-worth. In Rio de Janeiro, he helped build homes in the favelas, listening to stories of resilience and hope. In Tokyo, he collaborated with local leaders to create programs that bridged generational gaps, fostering understanding and empathy between the young and old. Everywhere he went, Liam saw the same thing: people craving connection, yearning for kindness, and eager to make a difference. The world wasn't as divided as it often seemed. Beneath the surface, there was a shared humanity that transcended borders, languages, and cultures. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth: one act of kindness could change everything. A letter from home. One evening, after returning from a whirlwind trip across Europe, Liam found a letter waiting for him at his apartment. It was from Liam's mother, written in her familiar, flowing handwriting. Dear Liam, I've been following your journey from the start, and I can't tell you how proud I am of the man you've become. But what touches me most isn't the headlines or the speeches. It's knowing that you've stayed true to the boy who used to help the neighbors carry groceries, the young man who never let the world harden his heart. You've built something beautiful, Liam, but don't forget to take care of yourself in the process. The world needs your light, but you need to keep that light burning bright. Love always, Mom. Liam read the letter twice, tears welling in his eyes. It was a gentle reminder that even as he touched countless lives, he needed to nurture his own heart as well. The final chapter, or just the beginning. Years later, as Liam stood on the stage of the Global Humanitarian Awards, accepting an honor he never sought but deeply appreciated, he reflected on the journey that had brought him here. I didn't start this journey expecting to change the world, Liam said, addressing the crowd of global leaders, activists, and changemakers. I just wanted to treat people with kindness, because that's what we all deserve. But what I've learned is that kindness doesn't just change the world, it creates it. Every smile, every helping hand, every moment of empathy builds the world we want to live in. The audience erupted into applause, but Liam knew the real work wasn't done on grand stages or under bright lights. It was done in quiet moments, in everyday interactions, in the choices people made when no one was watching. After the ceremony, as Liam stood outside under the starlit sky, Keanu appeared beside him, a content smile on his face. You've come a long way, Liam, Keanu said, his voice filled with genuine pride. Liam chuckled. Thanks to you. Keanu shook his head. No, you were always on this path. I just happened to walk into the store that day. They stood in comfortable silence, the weight of their shared journey settling between them. Then, with a thoughtful glance at the horizon, Liam spoke. I think the world's ready for more. Keanu raised an eyebrow. More. Liam nodded, a determined glint in his eye. We've started a ripple, but it's time to make waves. Keanu laughed, clapping Liam on the back. Then let's get to work. And with that, they walked forward, not just as friends or collaborators, but as partners in a mission that was far from over. Because in a world that often felt divided and uncertain, Liam knew one unshakable truth. Kindness wasn't just an act. It was a legacy.